welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. She is a therapist turned CEO helping clinicians prioritize alignment and abundance over scarcity and burnout. No other than Miss Hannah Rose.
Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome, Miss Hannah, on Book 101 Review. And can you please introduce more by yourself that I miss?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, just like Daniel said, I am a therapist, but in the last couple of years, I've transitioned out of working with clients and more so put my focus onto working with other therapists. And I do have a group practice. We have over 30 clinicians and 600 clients, and we do really awesome work. And I supervise the practice and the clinicians. And I just recently launched the Thriving Practice Academy, which is essentially an online training hub for therapists to be able to start their own businesses because far too often we are overworked, underpaid, and burnt out, and it doesn't have to be that way.
Indeed. And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Miss Hannah. Thank you. And today, let's talk about authenticity over approval. What Quitting Survivor taught you about courage and alignment, and how one defining decision on national television revealed the truth about success, shame, and the power of choosing yourself. So tell us, Miss Hannah, what is all about?
Whew. Well, for those of you that don't know, Survivor is a reality competition show based in the United States that has been on air since the year 2000. So it's one of the longest running reality shows. It's kind of like its own institution in the United States. And a couple of years ago, I applied to be a contestant on the show because I'm a fan and it looked like I could do it and it looked easy. And I was not expecting to get cast. Hundreds of thousands of people apply every year. So when I sent in my little video application, I was just doing it because why not? The why not was that 7 months later, I was living on a beach in the jungle in Fiji on national television trying to survive without food, shelter, fire, I mean, sleep. And at least in the United States, there's this whole thing where people hate quitters. People
Yes.
hate quitters, and there's so much shame involved. And for me, I mean, spoiler alert if you haven't seen the show, I, instead of waiting to be voted out, which I wasn't going to be, I begged my tribe to vote me out and told them that I was done and I didn't want to do it anymore. And that's not something you often see on a show like Survivor or any reality competition TV. And I remember sitting there on that island and thinking, people are going to judge me and people are going to hate me, but none of them know me. And also, it's a show, it's not that deep. But for me, it really illuminated, the importance of something I really believe at my core, which is choosing authenticity over approval. And so I could have stayed on the show. I could have faked it and made my way through the show. I would have been very hungry and tired, but I could have done it. But I hated it. I hated the experience. I didn't like backstabbing my friends. I mean, maybe I should have known, but I didn't know how my brain and body was going to react. And so I chose to leave, and the conversation around it was very much shame based. We hate quitters. You can't do hard things. You're spoiled. You're privileged. And it was really tough to be scrutinized by millions of people on the internet.
Yes. Mhm.
And it really, walking through that just really taught me like, I'd rather practice what I preach and be myself and walk away from something that doesn't serve me. Because why do we give people medals for sticking out something that's hurting them? I don't think that's very healthy.
Definitely. So, Miss Hannah, making such a brave decision in one thing, doing it with the millions of people watching is another. How did the presence of the cameras and audience affect your internal struggle?
Oh my God. I mean, I just couldn't stop crying. I was so anxious and I was so
Yes.
overwhelmed. And, the audience wasn't there with us, it was just cameras
Yes.
everywhere. But I knew that a couple months later, the show would air on television. And so I had a good 4 or 5 months where I knew what happened, but the world did not. And it was a really tough place to be in, but I'm so grateful for that period of time because it let me lean into my resolve of I am proud of my decision. And I did get messages from people who are like, you inspired me to leave my abusive relationship or quit my toxic job. And I was like,
Mm.
cool, like that's what I want.
Yes, definitely. So, was there a specific person you were thinking of? Someone whose real approval mattered more than the audience when you made a choice to leave?
Hmm. I thought about my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband, and I thought about what he would say. And we'd been together for about 6 years at that point, and he knows me better than anyone. And I could just picture him in my mind saying, why would you stay if you hate it? Who cares what people think? Like just such a sturdy backbone. And it's like I knew that the people in my life wouldn't judge me. They wouldn't care. They would think it's funny and they know me. And that matters more than social media and all of the people behind the keyboard that can be really, really mean behind a screen.
Hmm.
It's not gonna, I'm not gonna give that my energy.
It's not worth it, right? So, on
Mm,
courage, shame, and identity, we often think of courage as a changing into the battle, but your story suggests that it can also be a walking away. How do you redefine courage for yourself in
mm.
that moment?
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, I'm looking at a framed print that I have of Queen Brene Brown, and it just says courage over comfort. And
Hmm.
I thought going on the show, courage over comfort meant, I'd have to be courageous and brave the elements over the comfort of my home and a bed. But what I learned was courage was choosing to do what felt right and aligned in my gut and over the comfort of people pleasing, which is something I've always lived in, is how can I make sure you like me? And this whole experience just flipped that on its head for me because lovingly, what other people think of me does not shake my self-worth today.
Indeed, don't care what people say about you, people. Shame is a powerful word in your topic. What is the specific shame you felt? What is the shame
Mm,
of potentially losing or the shame of the person you had to become to win?
mm. Well, I mean, I think first for me identifying guilt versus shame. And guilt is I feel badly about this, and shame is I am bad or I am unworthy. I am an imposter. I mean, fill in the blank. It's kind of like an identity. And it out there, I felt guilt. I feel badly about leaving because so many people want to go on that show. But there
Mm-hmm.
wasn't as much shame while I was on the show. The shame came after, once it aired on TV and people were saying horrible, horrible things about me and about my, I would never go to a therapist like that. Who would ever take advice from her? She doesn't know hard things. She doesn't know difficulty, which is not my story. Like my story is all trauma, trauma, trauma. And so I felt ashamed, like I wasn't enough because I didn't force myself to stay long enough to prove myself. And I was able to just over time and a lot of crying, just shed some of that shame and say, shame can be thrown at me, but it's up to me if I want to internalize it.
Miss Hannah, in the hyper competitive environment of Survivor, how did you distinguish between a natural discomfort of growth and soul crashing discomfort of self betrayal?
Yeah. Ooh. Oh, such a good question. So, one of the key facets of Survivor, in addition to not having basic needs like food, shelter, and sleep, you're supposed to get people to trust you and then backstab them. And I've
Mm,
watched the show. I mean, I was on season 45. There are a lot of seasons. I knew this, excuse me. I knew this intellectually,
mhm.
but once I went out there and started to make real connections with people, the thought of backstabbing them and taking away their dreams just so I could stay on longer, I premise of the show, but I couldn't do it. I was like, "Oh, you're real people. Like you're not characters on my screen. Like it's gonna devastate you." And I would only do it to get ahead. And that is, I didn't know until I went on Survivor that I am not cutthroat like that. I won't do it.
Mhm. And what did you have to believe about your own self worth in that moment to be able to choose yourself over the potential title and money?
I mean, the money was tough. Although I did tell the host because the prize for winning is $1 million, which is a lot of money, life changing money.
Uh-huh.
I said to him, they edited this out, but I said, "You couldn't pay me $1 million to stay another minute in this hellhole." He didn't like that very much. I mean,
Uh-huh.
yeah, I think for me, it was like all my values crashing into me at once with a camera in
Mhm.
my face and people looking at me saying, "It's not worth it. $1 million, fame, being famous on Instagram, like that call to me. What calls to me is human connection, being myself, hopefully being able to help others in some capacity." And it was like, wow, I really thought I was going to be more competitive than this, but I'm not, and that's okay.
Yes, it's okay. So after the aftermath and a public reaction, what was the most surprising reaction you received after your decision aired from loved one, a fellow player, or a complete stranger?
Mm. I mean, I think the connections that I made with other contestants on my cast was surprising. They were so kind, so loving, so supportive, publicly and personally. And that was surprising to me because I thought that they might judge me because they were all in the exact same situation, but they played the game. They spent a month out there fighting for the sole survivor title. And the person who won my season, I mean, they were just so nice and so
Mm-hmm.
human, and that was
Yes.
surprising. What wasn't surprising were the millions of people that hated me. Um, it was kind of like, yeah, this is why, I just recently got back on Instagram for the first time since before Survivor,
Mm-hmm.
and it's jarring. I'm used to being off grid. It's safer for me that way, and it's kind of terrifying coming back on, and it's surprising to me that, 2 years later, no one cares
No
because
one
no one's
cares,
still
yes.
thinking about me, and that's a nice freeing reminder as well.
True. Don't care what people say about you, people. Do the best of the best that you can do. So, were you prepared for the criticism for people who said you gave up or wasted an opportunity? How did you handle
Mm.
that narrative without internalizing it?
Not perfectly. I think it came in waves, and there were moments of despair and shame, and there were moments of strength and courage. And when I started speaking more publicly about it and writing about it, I've connected with so many other people on different reality TV shows that have had the exact same internal narrative, and they've never heard anyone talk about it. And so for me, that's really powerful. And yeah, it was just definitely a roller coaster. But when I would just put down my phone and go outside and no one recognized me, no one in the real world cared. Like it was so humbling to
Hmm.
realize that all of this drama on my phone and in my email didn't exist if I just put it down and walked away.
True. So, how's your relationship with the world or the word success changed since walking away from one of the world's famous symbols of it?
Yeah. I think for me, success, it almost transitioned from this like external idea to an internal feeling. And I see it in my field with therapists a lot. It's like success means how many clients you have or how much money you're making. And I know people that do well financially and they're miserable inside. And I know people who go on all of the reality shows and they're addicted to their phones and they're miserable inside. And so for me, shifting
Yeah.
the success into a feeling internally, like my abundance is palpable no matter how things are going externally. And that has to do a lot with like a meditation and mindfulness practice. And it's like we're all just existing in a game, but if we get to choose how we want to play it and show up, it's so freeing.
Definitely. So, Miss Hannah, as a therapist turned CEO, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
You know, this has actually always been the case for me. It's not that I've never had goals, but I feel like I make decisions based on present moment feelings.
Hmm.
And then whatever happens, happens. And I try to let go of the outcome. And the beautiful thing about that is that I never wanted to be a CEO of one business, let alone two. I never wanted to be like a disgraced reality TV contestant. I don't think right now, I don't think there's a ton of goals. I think ideally, if I'm able to reach the people who want my help, amazing. But I can't force it and I can't make it happen. And as long as I'm just trusting my gut and letting go of the rest, everything continuously falls into place.
Definitely. And whatever your goals, Miss Hannah, good luck for that and looking forward for more success. And what will be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be like you?
Oh, God. You know, my first thought is don't be like me, be like you. And
Hmm.
the way that I've been able to unlock more and more of who I am, it's less about finding out who I am and more about shedding what I am not. And I think that's the best place to start is what are you not? Like I wouldn't describe myself as cool. You know, I listen to Taylor Swift, K-pop, and that's fine. But I know what I'm accepting of, and I think that is the coolest thing to be. And so if you're listening and you want to feel more comfortable in your own skin with who you are, yes, start by identifying what you're not and work to shed some of those things because they don't serve you.
Thank you for that advice, Miss Hannah. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey?
Oh my god. I read so much. And my friends make fun of me because I always say, "Oh my god, this book changed my life." But I feel that way about so many books. I would say the most impactful book I've read this year is called The Will to Do Nothing by Charles Fraley. And it completely broke open my psyche and rebuilt me in a way that is like the most magical. It's so good. And I recommend it so deeply.
Highly recommended, people. For sure, 10 plus. Right, Miss Anna? Truly, truly 10 plus. So explain us
Yes,
mindful
10 plus.
mindful growth for lasting impact. Explain that phrase
Yeah. So
that it's on your
this,
website.
yeah. So this is my new company and it's called the Thriving Practice Academy. And it's for people who want to become therapists, therapists that want to start their own private practice, or therapists in private practice who want to start their group practice. And so mindful growth means exactly that, being intentional about your own growth. And that way, there's going to be so much deeper, sustainable impact instead of this short term, all these get rich quick schemes where we abandon our values in order to meet some external level of success. Like I said, I my group practice of therapists, it's called Rose Wellness. Like we have more than 30 therapists, 600 clients. I only say this to say like you can do well and values and integrity. Like it's a 7-figure business but everyone is treated well and it's a good workplace. And so when my focus became taking care of the employees and taking care of the clinicians instead of me making more personally, it grew so much. And so the Thriving Practice Academy has with a lot teaching therapists how to do exactly that.
Well, Miss Hannah, do you believe true success is possible without alignment? Can you have all the external markers of achievement and still feel like a failure?
Yes. So to answer the first part of your question, no, I don't
Mm-hmm.
believe true success is possible without alignment.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's possible to have all the external markings of success and feel like a failure. So yes and no.
At
Yeah,
least balance.
so many people. Yeah, I know so many people that it looks like they have it all together. They're making tons of money. They have 100 followers. They look great on Instagram, and they're so unhappy, and that's not success to me.
Yes. Still they're miserable. And Miss Hannah, your story is a powerful lesson in personal values. How did experience on the islands help you to identify and crystallize what your non-negotiable values truly are?
Mm. I think, I always thought my values were, authenticity, mindfulness, and connection. Those are like the big ones. But out there and making the decision that I did really oh, I'm putting my money where my mouth is. Not
Mm-hmm.
literally, because I didn't make $1 million, but it really solidified, oh, I do care more about things than about what it looks like from the outside. And
Mm-hmm.
Survivor taught me, hey, if I can disregard what millions of people think and still be myself and survive it, survive anything without as much fear.
Definitely. Money can buy books, but not wisdom. People.
And we
We live
love
in a
books.
world.
We do love
Yes.
books.
Yes, we love books. We live in a world obsessed with the external validation from likes on social media to job titles. How do we practice choosing ourselves in the face of the constant noise?
I mean, I have so many thoughts about social media, mainly because I read a book in 2020 called How to Break Up with Your Phone by Catherine Price. It
Mm-hmm.
did change my life. And it really illuminated this very intense addiction many of us have to our phones, but then to this culture we now live in of you're only worthy if you're getting likes and follows and shares. And so for me, being off social media completely healed a lot of that for me. However, for this business, it was advised that I get back on Instagram
True.
and start from scratch. And so I'm really going through it again for the first time, and I'm trying to be brand new and say, yeah, of course there's a pull to want to have more followers. And I just have to remind myself, all I can do is put my stuff out there and let go of the outcome and just
Yes.
notice when you're being pulled, notice when you're feeling insecure, and can you speak to that? I mean, my antidote for a lot of those feelings is making a video where I say I'm really uncomfortable and I'm really nervous, and let's normalize that. Or I'll write an article about walking through shame, and it really helps. It's like, oh yeah, other people experience this even if I don't see a lot of them talking about it.
Mhm. And no expectation, at least. And before we wrap up our discussion today, Miss Hannah, I'm inviting you to please listen to my other podcast, people, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season. Abstract poetry in second season, and my book 101 review in fifth season too. Comedy 101 in third season, and my food 101 in fifth season as well. Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast, Law 101 and Mental Health 101. Love Letters in third season, and Movie 101 Review, Music 101 fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its second season. Let's listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Miss Hannah, if you could send a message to your younger self right before you step onto the beach, what you tell them and about truly matters.
films before we went on the show. When we were in Fiji before we started filming, and I looked back at mine and it said, "No matter, just have fun and be yourself." And I'm like, I did that.
You did. You did it. And congratulations, Miss Hannah. You did it. You did it. Congratulations for being you. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy, your business, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Absolutely. Like I said, I'm back on Instagram, you guys. It's at Thriving Academy. Even though I don't need you to follow me to feel better about myself, I would love it.
Yes. Definitely, and no expectation, people. Just go for the flow. So, Miss Hannah Rose, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. And thank you, thank you, thank you. And, Bodycon people, see you soon.